Hey everyone, welcome. Gary Delicium's back again. This time we're going to be doing part 3 of my complete vinyl collection. Now, for those of you that did not subscribe yet, please hit that subscribe button. Not only will you be able to support my channel, but you'll get updates every time I post a video. For instance, this series where we're doing 8 parts, and every time I do the next part, you'll get an update. So we're getting right into part 3. At part 2, we left off at the beginning of D's, and as promised, we're going to finish the D's and go all the way through to the G's. Alright. First up, we have Death, one of my favorite albums by Death. This is Human. Now this is a repress from Relapse Records, 2017 repress. I'm gonna pull this out of sleeve only because this is a bone white pinwheels and splatter edition. So as you see, it's clear there. Really cool, sounds great. Great album by Death. Again, like I said, my favorite one by them. Next up, we're going to start with the Deep Purple. First up, we have In Rock. Yep. Cool album. Great album by Deep Purple. Pull out a couple at a time, actually make it easier. Then we have Fireball. My favorite, and their most well known and probably their best album. Machine Head. Here we have Purple Passages. Purple Passages is, well, I'm just going to read off the back here. Contains material previously released in the following LPs, the self-titled Deep Purple, Shades of Deep Purple, and the Book of Talisman. This is Deep Purple Mark 1, basically like a compilation of greatest hits of them, of sorts. Obviously with Rod Evans on vocals and Nick Simper on bass, who will get replaced with Ian Gillan and Roger Glover, respectively. Then we have the great live album, Made in Japan. The last album they would do with Mark II for quite some time, Who Do We Think We Are? And Ian Gillan kind of, he wanted to retire, but he was having, him and Richie were button heads, that's the reason he left. But he would go on and form the Ian Gillan Band and do some solo work. Next up, we have the debut featuring the great Glenn Hughes on bass and vocals, along with David Coverdale on lead vocals. This is Burn. And the follow-up, Stormbringer. This is the last one, which would feature Richie Blackmore for about, I think about 8 years. About 8 or 9 years he would come back in the band. But in the meantime, he went and formed Rainbow with the great Ronnie James Dio on vocals, Graham Bonnet, Joe Lynn Turner. And then this is the Mark II reunion. This is Perfect Strangers. Amazing album, came out in 1984. Sees a return of Richie Blackmore on guitar and obviously Ian Gillan on vocals. Great album. And grab a couple more now. Def Leppard, High and Dry. Great album. Really a milestone in the new wave of British heavy metal movement. Then we have the follow-up, another great album, Pyromania. This is the album that really put Def Leppard on the map. Hysteria would, put them even higher than that. All right, next up we have Depeche Mode, Black Celebration. Really cool album. I used to go to these, they were called dance parties, but kind of were just hangouts at these clubs. They would call it Black Celebration. They would play like this 80s dark wave stuff. It was really cool, really fun. And then we have Violator, the great album. This is a repress. This is an original. I'm not sure of the year. Probably bought it about 5 years ago. And of course, the great Ronnie James Dio with his debut solo album, Holy Diver. And then the last in line, as you can see, whoever actually had it decided to draw on it, cover on it. The vinyl's good, but I'm holding on to it until I can find a replacement, because that's one of my favorite albums and definitely one I'd want to replace in better condition. Next up, we have the Doobie Brothers, Captain and Me. As you see, someone decided to draw on that also. I actually didn't know that was on there. Probably found this in a bargain bin for a good price. Do we have the follow-up to that? What were once vices are now habits. Stampede. And for some reason, Stampede is really tough to get on CD. I don't have it on CD. It's the one Doobie Brothers CD I don't own on CD, but it's my local store has it on back order. So as soon as he gets a copy, it's going right to me, and hopefully I get that soon. Next up, Take It to the Streets. First down to feature Michael McDonald. And then the greatest hits, best of Doobies. I always like this album. It's a great album, but also the cover is just amazing. It's got the jukebox on it. You can tell it's one of the diner desktop or tabletop jukeboxes. As you can tell, it's a diner by the the ketchup, the mustard, the condiments, the sugar, the salt, the ashtray, some change. I guess it was left for a tip. You see the coffee cup there. Just really cool stuff. I miss. I'm sure there's some diners around still like that, but I really miss going to places like that. Next up, Minute by Minute. Features the huge hit, What a Fool Believes. And then this one, not a great album. I feel like the cover art's actually better than the album itself. So yeah, One Step Closer. I believe this is 1980. Yeah, 1980 this came out. Alright, next up we're getting into the Doors. One of my favorite bands of all time. Of course, we had the debut album, followed by Strange Days. Again, these are all original pressings. My favorite by the Doors, Waiting for the Sun. I don't believe this is. I believe this is maybe a 70s repressing. As you can tell there by the serial number on top. Soft Parade, very underrated album. Very good, very underrated. Morrison Hotel. Unfortunately, it's cut out there, but whatever. Absolutely Live, the original double LP. Great album. It was re-released on CD as part of Doors in Concert, and then Absolutely Live came back again as a single disc, I want to say in like 96, 97, but different artwork. And then finally we have LA Woman from the Doors. There's a lot more out there. A lot more live stuff, of course, American Prayer, Other Voices. Excuse me. The album they did without Jim Morrison. Excuse me. Alright, now, to finish up with these, we're going to go with Dylan. Sorry, Bob Dylan it is. Bring It All Back Home. Amazing album. Another one of my favorite albums of all time. Highway 61 Revisit. Obviously, Dylan's, or I don't say obviously, but for me it's obvious, but arguably one of Dylan's greatest albums, if not the greatest album. As is this, Blonde on Blonde. This is the gatefold, double LP, folds out, as you can see. It's a full picture of Dylan in his coat there. Then we have Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits, Volume 1. Well, it was just called Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits, but Volume 2 and Volume 3 would come later. Nashville Skyline, his return from the infamous motorcycle crash that he suffered in late '67. Sorry, I'm dropping stuff here. Yeah, really a country-influenced album. Features Johnny Cash on there. A re-recording of Girl from the North Country, which featured Johnny Cash. Then we have New Morning. Some writing on there. Really good album by Dylan. I feel like it's very underrated. Dylan. This came actually from Temple University. One of my local record stores bought every vinyl that Temple University had in their library, and yeah, this is one. Again, some writing on there, but it was from a library, so a lot of people rented it. So this is kind of Dylan and Columbia Records weren't getting along at the time, and these were songs, mostly all covers, that Dylan did not want released, but Columbia wanted another record album, and they released it without his permission. And to this day, it was never pressed on CD. The only way you can really get it was on vinyl. I'm not 100% positive, but I'm going to assume it is on 8-track and cassette also. Next up, we got Planet Waves, Bob Dylan featuring the band. And another one of his classic albums. Unfortunately, it's some damage down there. Blood on the Tracks. Slow Train Coming, his kind of Christian album he did. And finally, we have Infidels. Great album from the 80s. My favorite album, Bob Dylan album from the 80s, I'd say. And that'll round out the D's, and then a couple here from E. I'm just gonna grab them all at once. Of course, we got the Eagles with their debut album. Great album. On the Border from the Eagles. And I feel like this is the album that everyone owns. Their greatest hits, 71 to 75. And then Hotel California, their masterpiece. One of my favorite albums again. Really good album by the Eagles. Here we have Electric Light Orchestra. This is a New World record. Great album. Features the hits Tightrope, Telephone Line, Do Ya's on here, Living Thing. Really, really good album there. And a bit of prog. We got the debut from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, along with their follow-up, Tarkus. And I also have Brain Salt Surgery, another masterpiece. And a milestone in prog rock. Definitely 70s prog rock. And the F's, I'll take them all out at once also. It's easier doing these videos sitting down. For the first two videos, I'll stand up. So we have Fleetwood Mac, the self-titled album. First album they would do with Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham. Of course, the masterpiece, Rumors. This actually still has the shrink on it from Caldor. How many people that remember that store, Caldor? I think that closed up in, like, let's say 99, 2000. Sorry, I got a hair in my mouth or something. This is the National Academy of Recording Artists and Science Album of the Year award on there. Sticker that came with it. Really cool, really great album. Obviously, it's not an original pressing if that's on there, but this is probably second pressing. Next up, Foghat, Fool for the City. Features the amazing hit Slow Ride. Foghat Live, great live album. Really good jamming on here. One of them great 70s live albums. Here we have the Foo Fighters. This is a repress. This is their debut album, 2011 repress. And this is another 2011 repress, The Color and the Shape for Foo Fighters. Foreigner, their self-titled debut album. Then we have Head Games. And Frampton Comes Alive, Peter Frampton. Everyone knows this album, one of the biggest selling live albums of the 70s. One of the biggest selling albums of the 70s, double LP. Don't need to say much about this. Everyone really knows about this. Alright, here we have a compilation from Alan Freed, the disc jockey. Alan Freed's top 15. 15 original hit recordings. I'm not sure of the year of this. So this is early 60s or late 50s. Some cool stuff on here. Songs like Kansas City, Good Night, Sweetheart, Good Night. Really cool doo-wop song. I have a soft spot for doo-wop, one of my guilty pleasures. Sleepwalk, the amazing instrumental from Santo and Johnny. Get a Job, Speedo, another cool doo-wop-y song. Alright, that was it with the F's, and now we're going to get in the G's. The Great Genesis with Nursery Crime, arguably one of the greatest albums of all time in the prog rock era with Peter Gabriel on vocals. Then we have Selling England Not a Pound, another one. Same thing you said about this, one of the greatest albums, one of the greatest prog rock albums. And some reason I thought I had more Genesis. Grand Funk Railroad, Closer to Home, amazing album. Love this album. Of course, it features the I'm Your Captain, Closer to Home medley there. Mark, Don, and Mel. This is Grand Funk Railroad, Solid Gold. Basically, greatest hits from 69 to 71. Features amazing songs in here. Their cover of Feeling Alright, Heartbreakers on here, great song. Foot Stompin' Music, Paranoid I Love, Are You Ready, and then Closer to Home, I'm Your Captain, rounds it out. Which really only their hit at the time. It was kind of weird for the band to put out a greatest hits that early in their career. Alright, next up, Grateful Dead. Or just Grateful Dead, I should say. With their debut album from 1967. Really cool colors on there, unfortunately. As you can see, it's a little ripped, but it's a classic album. It's an original pressing, and it's really cool to own. Anthem of the Sun, the follow-up. Again, another original pressing. Unfortunately, it's got a little, dirt on the back, but whatever, it holds up, and I have it, so to replace it could be kind of pricey. Alright, next up we have Live from the Mars Hotel, or just from the Mars Hotel. It's actually not a live album, it's just called that. Released in 1974. Some great songs on here, some of my favorites like Scarlet Begonia, Ship of Fools, Loose Lucy, US Blues, China Doll. Really good album, I feel is very underrated in the Grateful Dead catalog. But as I said in like my Grateful Dead ranking video I did, I'm actually a bigger fan of Grateful Dead studio stuff as opposed to their live stuff. Although Europe 72 is one of my favorite albums of all time, and it is the live album. Alright, next up we have Still Your Face. This is Still Your Face Volume 1. As you can see, features the iconic skull in there. I believe this is the first, probably wrong, but I believe this is the first time this was introduced. The iconic Still Your Face skull logo. And look at the colors in there, just pop. This is in really good shape. This is original from '76. Double LP, 4 sides, all live. Really good album. And last one I have from the Dead, Terrapin Station, another classic cover. Side 1 features Estimated Prophet, Samson, Delilah, Passenger, their cover of Dancing in the Streets, Sunrise. And side 2 is just called Terrapin Station. Basically, it's just a whole-sided medley, and I don't know if they do break it down on here. Yeah, so part 1, Lady of the Fan, Terrapin Station, Terrapin Transit, Out of Siding, Terrapin Flyer, and the Refrain. Released on Rista Records. Rista Records were basically their label from the 70s, or the mid-70s, I should say. I believe starting with Wake of the Flood. Yeah, I believe through Wake of the Flood, through Built to Last. The rest of their albums that they did in their studio albums throughout the rest of their career. Alright everyone, that we'll finish up part 3, my 3rd block here. Coming in the next video, part 4, we'll go to the 4th block of my complete vinyl collection. Like I said at the top of the video, if you did not subscribe yet, please hit that subscribe button. For all subscribers, new, old, I just want to say thank you. Everyone watching, I want to say thank you. I appreciate it. And leave something I got wrong, please leave me in the comments. You might correct me because I did not do my research. I'm just going off the top of my head. And as like I always say, if you have a collection video that you think I'd be interested in, please drop it in the comments. I'd love to watch it. Okay, stay tuned for part 4. This is Gary Elysiums again. Thank you for watching.